Monday. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us today. Let me scoot back. I get in an echo. So just get so excited. I'm like, oh, it's time. We're here. Let's go.
Marketing.
Let's talk about all the fun things. We got marketing and pigs and like all the things. So I will try to contain myself. Anyway, I'm Brittany Sweeney with the Livestock Conservancy. We have our extra special guest, Dana from Nettle Valley Farm. Thanks for joining us today, Dana.
Thanks
and of
for
course,
having
we
me.
have the lovely Samantha Gasson from FACT, the Food Animal Concerns Trust. Thanks for joining us today. Sam and Dana, do you want to introduce yourselves and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in case somebody's listening for the first time?
Sure. Yep. I'm Dana from Nettle Valley Farm. We're a sort of small scale pastured hog farm in southeastern Minnesota. So if you're familiar with Rochester, Minnesota, we're like an hour and 15 minutes even farther southeast than that. So almost Iowa, almost Wisconsin. This is my 7th year finishing hogs on pasture. We're a pasture finishing farm. We don't farrow. And we only sell whole and half hogs. We did used to sell some wholesale pork to restaurants, but COVID pretty much killed all that. But yeah, and as far as it's me and my husband, and then we usually have an assortment of helpers, mostly part-time throughout the year.
Awesome.
All right. And I am Samantha Gasson, and I am with the Food Animal Concerns Trust, which is an organization, a nonprofit out of Chicago, Illinois. We are focused on the humane treatment of food animals and making sure that people are able to get access to safe and healthy foods. And I also have a farm in North Carolina near Brittany.
Yay, Bull City Farm. All right, before we jump into questions, if anybody has questions for Dana or Samantha today, feel free to leave us a comment on Facebook. Let us know where you're from, what you want to know, how we can help you with your marketing. And I'm going to say a quick thank you to ManaPro. So thank you to ManaPro for sponsoring today's Marketing Monday. I'm going to play a quick little 1-minute video from them. And don't go away. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Champions, colleagues,
roommates,
and personal trainers.
Whatever role they play,
they're an important part of our lives.
In their quiet way,
and their not so quiet way.
They keep us young.
On our feet,
on the go.
They pull us back to nature.
And push us toward the next adventure.
And as much as we count on them,
they count on us all the more.
To nurture their lives
with the same commitment.
To protecting them,
helping them grow,
and thrive.
Treating them
as well as they treat us. By giving them a little more of our lives. Because no matter what role they play, out here
or in here,
we're here to make their lives the best they can be.
ManaPro, nurturing life.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome back. And thanks again to ManaPro. So let's get into it. Let's talk about all these fun things today. Sam, why are you laughing?
I don't know. It is fun stuff. I'm really excited.
I'm laughing because those pigs in that ad, I really want to know what breed those are. They look like
those are Mayshans.
Are they Mayshans? I was like, those are almost ugly enough to be Mayshans.
They're really ugly pigs. I apologize.
So ugly that they're cute. So.
They're so adorable with their little snouts. They are delicious, though. They're so good to eat.
Shar-Pei. They're like porcine Shar-Peis.
Yes. They're very sweet pigs. I visited Laura, who we had on a few shows ago at her farm, and she has Mayshans, and they're like the nicest pigs I've ever met.
I'm thinking about getting some, Dana.
Cool. I would love to visit someday.
I don't know, though. We were talking about getting away from farrowing, so I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah. I just took on some geese because a friend of mine had some geese she needed. Some of those.
I don't know what she's talking about.
So I've got fancy geese now. So cool. I don't know if I need fancy hogs.
You always need fancy things. Okay, anyway.
We can talk about breeds. I have strong opinions about breeds, and since we're already sort of talking about it, and you guys are the Livestock Conservancy,
Yeah.
I definitely think there's like Sam, what you mentioned about sort of the fancy breeds, and I sort of think of them as like there's the classic division between like lard pigs and meat pigs or bacon pigs, and I sort of think of them too as like, you know, commercial breeds, even heritage commercial breeds, and then sort of what I've been thinking of as homesteader or almost retirement pigs. Like someday I would love to have coonies or
They're
American
so
guinea
cute.
hogs, or just, you know, like teeny tiny little pigs that are mostly fat that hardly eat any grain. But like I don't quite see how those fit, certainly not into our seasonal farming model, and certainly not into our economic model at this scale. So I totally think of them as like amazing breeds that I would love to work with someday when I'm retired.
So we started out with American guinea hogs.
Yeah.
And we started out, and I think there's a lot of people who start out with things. We also started out with goats, and we do not have a single goat on the farm anymore.
Yeah.
But the American guinea hogs, they just were not economically viable. If you're trying to make any money off your hogs, they're not. If you just want some hogs just to raise for yourself and to make some bacon and, you know, have some lard, they're fantastic. They're wonderful personalities. Really, really like them a lot. And we still have 3 of those original pigs that we keep for the summer camp kids or when people come to visit, because I can trust anybody can go in with them and they're perfectly fine. And, you know, they top out at what, 350 or so. They're not like my, you know, my Berkshire, who's like well up there towards 500 pounds, you know?
Yeah.
So I love them, but I did this thing once. It was with the Carolina Meat Conference. And we did a comparison with a bunch of different breeds, and we had 4 different butchers and 4 different breeds. And there was a Kuni, there was, I had one of my Mangalitzas, and then there was an Ossabaw, and then, what was the other one? Oh, it was a Berkshire. The other was a Berkshire. And so, maybe it was a Hampshire. I forget. I'm going to ruin the whole story now. But it was either a Berkshire or a Hampshire. I can't remember which one. But they had 4 different butchers, and there was somebody who was sort of like the head butcher, told everybody how to break these hogs down. So they all broke down the hogs exactly the same way. And then they did a comparison between the different breeds. And that poor Coon, I felt really bad for the woman who bought her Coon, because it was basically the butcher who was processing this pig was like, why would you raise this pig? There's no meat on this pig. And then, you know, but you're comparing to, you know, a Mangalitsa or, you know, an Ossabaw, you know, all those larger breeds. It really wasn't very fair, but it was really interesting. The Mangalitsa won, by the way, the Mangalitsa and the Ossabaw.
Interesting, because I put Mangalitsa in the category of retirement hobby pigs too.
No, they'll eat you. Don't do it.
Well, just because, I mean,
you've got to be spry. You've got to be able to run away from them.
I more think along the lines of just not having enough meat on them, because they're more of a fatty lard pig. It takes a real specific kind of customer to want to pay for that much fat. If you're selling, remember, I'm thinking of as selling as a whole or half hog.
I don't think you can sell them as whole and halves, and that's why we have Berkshires and we have Mangalitzas, and we've actually brought in some Durocs as well now, because, well, mainly because the Mangalitzas are hateful and mean. I'm sorry to anybody who has nice Mangalitzas, but we've yet to raise a nice Mangalitsa. They even beat each other up. They're just the meanest things ever. But they taste really good, and if you're selling by the cut, that's a really good way to market them, because you do end up with a lot of meat. You have to raise them a little bit longer, but I charge higher prices. So because they're Mangalitsa, and people know that, you know, they're well known enough that I can charge more. And then I also make my own sausages, and I use all of my Mangalitsa fat in my sausages. And that makes a big difference, because you get that, it's got so much flavor in it. So it's really worthwhile. So if you I don't think you could do what you're doing with a Mangalitsa.
I don't think so. Yeah, context matters for sure. Context and sales outlets matter.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
But you got to know what your goals of your farm are and what you enjoy doing and what you want to do, and find a breed that fits those goals and those things that you want to do that's going to be economical for you.
Yeah. I think before we went live, we were just talking a little bit about how, at least in my opinion, like all of your farm decisions, especially about marketing and sales, have to first be informed by a really ruthlessly clear. Like you have to have a ruthless clarity of focus when it comes to your quality of life goals and just your energy levels and your personality and your strengths and weaknesses. And just, none of this stuff are things that I have come up with. I've just done a lot of learning through holistic management and the Regrarians platform, and just listened to a lot of really good life coaches and other presenters who do a lot of coaching and teaching about life design in the context of farming. So I just want to give that caveat that everything I say now, I didn't come up with it. And that's how we developed our business model. So from the very beginning, when we started with 3 hogs, 7.5 years ago, we knew we didn't want to do farmers markets because in a previous life, I was a vegetable farmer. And so, I was a wholesale vegetable farmer. And so I was farming, 6 acres of veggies and had 22 city accounts in the Twin Cities and drove all day, Mondays and Thursdays to do, or maybe it was Tuesdays and Fridays to do deliveries to like 22 different accounts and went to farmers markets. And so with that experience in mind, we just knew that starting with livestock, we did not want to do that because that was just too labor intensive. I have really reduced energy capacity because I had a nasty case of Lyme disease for a couple years, and I'm much better now, but I'm never going to have that same amount of energy again. And so I simply do not have the energy to be sitting at farmers markets or be shipping meat every day. So what we do at our farm is we get a variety of sizes of feeder pigs in June and then finish them on pasture we start harvesting them. They're, one bad day, the last week of September. And then each week we bring in the 12 biggest hogs that we have. And then they're pretty much all gone off the farm by the first week of November. We have our customers either buy a whole hog or a half hog. They give us a deposit. So that ensures that they mean it, that they actually want the whole or half hog. We've had people, before we did the deposit, we had people back out, and that's so hard to deal with. So we have really wonderful customers. They put down a deposit, which helps with the feed bill, which is, especially this year, absolutely immense. And then we have an online cut form that it's almost more like a tutorial. It walks you through each primal of the hog, and it gives you all the different options and explains how if you want loin roasts, you're not also going to get all your pork chops. Because a lot of our customers haven't bought whole or half animals before.
Well, I would imagine a hog is easier than a cow because there's a lot more options with a cow.
So then we drop off. We bring the meat to the processor, and then we actually pick up all the meat from the processor and bring it to a cold storage unit in Rochester. And then from there, our customers have the option to either meet us in Rochester to pick up their meat, or meet us at our farm to pick up their meat, or for $75, we'll do home delivery within basically the entire Twin Cities region or within about 150 miles of our farm. And that's it. That's the whole model. So we're pretty much done delivering meat by Thanksgiving. And then I sleep for a month. And I don't sleep for a month. There's still probably about a month of invoicing and follow-up work, and we always make sure to send people check-in emails, and we always make sure to send people a little thank you gift. And so usually that takes us through basically the end of December, and then I sleep for a month, and then we start thinking about the next season.
I have a couple of questions for you. So one of them is about your feed. So you buy your feed in bulk. Do you negotiate that pricing ahead of time, or are you sort of at the whim of? Because I know you do something interesting with your feed. It seems like you've got a partnership with somebody. I
So this-
follow Dana on Instagram. That's how I know so much about her. It's not like,
Oh, thanks. Yeah, if anyone wants to follow our adventures, I try to post at least once a day, a picture, a video, or a story or something. It's just Nettle Valley Farm on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, there you go. It's right on the screen. Awesome. So our feed is certified organic. It's made out of peas and barley, and so no corn, no soy, and no fish meal. Grain price, I think our feed last year was roughly $600 a ton, which was already, an investment. And this year it's over $900 a ton. And given the situation in Ukraine and everything else that's going on, we were going to try to make a partnership with a farmer about an hour away from us who was going to grow us 30 acres of peas and barley. And then we would start getting into grinding and mixing our own feed to save some money. So that I think would have ended up being probably like $500 a ton plus labor. So, some savings there, but it's not like we were going to get it down to like $100 a ton or something like that. Right. Unfortunately, he got hailed out, and there was no crop insurance for his crop. So he said if there would have been crop insurance, he would have just let it grow and then harvest what he could get. But since there isn't any crop insurance for peas and barley, he had to till it under and replant. And so for this year, we are still working with our the feed mill, who's great. It's a woman-owned feed mill. It's an organic feed mill. They don't only sell organic, but she is a wealth of knowledge about animal nutrition, herbal medicine for livestock. And so yeah, it's about $900 a ton right now. And we order, at this point, we're going through about 3.5 tons every other week. So every 2 weeks we get 3.5 tons delivered straight into our feeders. And
do you feed free choice?
All free choice. Yep. I really don't like ration feeding. And I can talk about all those reasons, but I really don't like it for me personally and for the pigs. I think it's too stressful.
And do you want to? What breeds of pigs? We started out talking about breeds of pigs, and what do you have?
So I guess my philosophy on pigs is that I'm not picky at all about breeds, which is maybe a little anathema. Is that the word for it for the Livestock Conservancy? I would rather eat a pink landrace pig who's been raised on pasture and great food and given great treatment than the most specialty, like Mangalitsa raised inside on a corn and soy diet. Honestly, I think the flavor I think it'd be interesting in a blind taste test to see who would taste better in that scenario.
I would bet anything on pasture would taste better than anything not on pasture. That would be my bet.
Yeah, a lot of our breeds do really well out on pasture, and so that's how people are raising them and not inside because they're backyard hobby farms.
Yep.
And, other types of farms as well, but mostly.
If I had my choice, so the thing is, when you get to our size, we're finishing about 80 hogs a year, and buying in feeder pigs, like it's beggars can't be choosers. Right. So for us, it's basically, I want healthy pigs. I want pigs that are about the right size. I want them vaccinated for the stuff that I need them to be vaccinated for. And then I want them born to sows that are on pasture. Mm-hmm. And once you get to those things, to ask for a very specific breed is a tall order. So, but to answer your question, we found a good feeder pig supplier who we work with, and our hogs are all different combinations of Hampshire, Yorkshire, Duroc, and Old Spot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so nice.
A lot of different permutations of that. So we have sort of a rainbow.
Yeah. Well, I think that is really important. We had a thing happen in North Carolina. Brittany, I don't know if you remember this. It was right at the beginning of COVID. We have a lot of hog operations, CAFO hog operations in North Carolina towards the east. And when COVID hit, of course, everything changed, and they're contract growers. So they no longer had the companies they were contract growing for said that it would just all of a sudden we can't take as many hogs. So there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of hogs, little piglets that were going to get put down. So there was this big push out onto Facebook, I don't know how many people sent me the link to this. They're like, you've got to get one of these hogs. Why don't you rescue 100 of these hogs? And I had a friend who actually did it. She got 300 of them, Only, I think, less than 100 actually survived. Because it was awful. She said like every day she'd have like 20 dead, and it was just demoralizing because they were a month old and they were being raised in confinement. They couldn't handle, March in North Carolina, which is wet and cold, out on pasture with very, they have shelter, but with, not the kind of shelter they would have, or the kind of living, I guess it's not. I don't think it's very good living conditions, but it's very controlled, and it's
Yeah.
not. You have to. So if you're going to get hogs from somebody, piglets from somebody, either get them 4 months or older, and they could be potentially confinement raised. Otherwise, if you want to get them at 2 months, they have to be born to sows that are on pasture, and they have to have experienced that their whole lives. Or you're just going to be sad because you're just going to be burying pigs.
Yeah. And my mentor said, especially when you're starting out, really don't get pigs that are less than 60 to 80 pounds when you're bringing them in, just because they'll survive the stress of transport much better. And that's what we like to get our hogs in at 60 or pigs in at 60 to 80 pounds. But this year we got pigs. Let's see. Oh, you're gonna make me do math. Well, they're born all throughout March and April. And so this year when they showed up, we had pigs as small as 35 pounds to pigs as big as like 105 pounds, which did not exactly meet my specs. But again, beggars can't be choosers, I think we start harvesting at the end of September. So I think we have a long enough window that the little ones they might still end up being 250, 270 pounds. We like to shoot for about 300 pounds live weight and then about 200 pounds hanging weight. But we'll get some customers who want really big fatty pigs, and then some folks who want smaller, leaner pigs. And I should say the only reason why we can do any of this is because we just have the best customers in the world. Like I know every farmer probably says that, but honestly we do. And I think we've been able to grow that customer base slowly. Like I said, we started with 3 pigs, selling by the half and whole. And now we're up to, 120, 130 customers.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And mostly
let's talk about that. It's like, how did you find a way to grow that? Because selling half and whole hogs is a little bit challenging. I don't have an extra freezer. I couldn't fit half a hog in my refrigerator right now. How are you doing that?
Well, I think the percentage of the overall population who is A, willing to take on that much meat, and then B, willing to pay the premium for organically fed pastured hogs that don't eat corn and soy, it's even smaller. And so I think that's why for us growing over time and then really, really relying on word of mouth and networking. So we started off with a sizable Facebook and Instagram following because of my past with vegetable farming. So there was a little bit of overlap there. And then I like people. I think I'm like an extroverted introvert, but I like speaking. So I try to never say no to speaking engagements where you can connect with people. And I think your passion for what you're doing will come through in person. And that's been a way that we've found a lot more customers, is just by meeting people in person, going to events, sharing our pork, bringing our pork to potlucks and talking about our farm. We do post on social media, try to do that every day, every other day. And I think that transparency of just like seeing how the pigs are living gets people more excited about paying that higher price. I think we would do terribly on a grocery store shelf because, most people don't understand that the difference between Applegate, no antibiotic pork and our pork is like galaxies as opposed to, they're basically the same thing. You can't get pork that's like ours at the grocery store.
Right.
Maybe if you're lucky, you can find pastured pork. Maybe if you're lucky, you can find organically fed pork, but organically fed, pastured, no corn and soy. Like I haven't seen that at any grocery store.
Yeah.
Anywhere around us. I don't know. So like I said, yeah, our pork wouldn't necessarily do that well, and if people just have a bunch of other stuff to compare it to. So I think it really is, it's just taken a lot of time to find customers who like really get it and have a higher level of understanding about why does this pork cost, you know, twice as much or 3 times as much as the CAFO pork, and then you know, enjoy the flavor of it and enjoy the story of it right along with it. Although I will say our pork has won multiple blind taste tests, so that feels good.
Yeah, that is good.
And converted a couple vegetarians too.
I think that's what you do exceptionally well, Dana. Is that story, and you definitely, everybody should go and check out Nettle Valley Farms Instagram and there it is again, Instagram and Facebook, because you do an exceptional job of sharing what you do on a regular basis and just how well cared for the pigs are, and it's I think it's all about the story. I mean, it's the same with what I'm doing with our herd chairs in particular. It's like you're selling a story. People are buying into your farm, and that's what marketing is all about. I had no idea about any of this about 10 years ago, but slowly over time, I've caught on to it. And actually, I like it. I like sharing that story. And really, since COVID, I've really started sharing a lot about the farm and not being annoyed that I have to share about the farm. But now I like it. I didn't used to like
I really love it too. And I think especially when people are getting into farming, doing that holistic management training and really thinking about like what your quality of life will be and what and then thinking pretty critically about what sort of marketing and sales avenues fit with that. Like not everybody, like we need everyone with all different skill sets and personalities to be involved in farming. And it does kind of stink right now that the people who have sort of an unfair advantage are the people who are extroverts and storytellers and who love that. Like there needs to be a place. It can't just be us and then CAFOs. You know, there's got to be a place for people who, you know, really just want to be on the farm with their animals and don't want to be on Instagram and don't want to be on live marketing talks. And you know, we have to figure out how to make room for all different, you know, the medium scale farmers who are doing a really lovely job, maybe on deep bedded pork, or maybe they're doing the pasture finishing on a bigger scale. And right now it seems to me like, well, you either sell the Niman Ranch or you do what we're doing is of direct marketing, but man, it's so much work. People oftentimes, I do get a little frustrated when people are like, so what do you even do all winter? It's like, okay, first of all, you ask corn farmers that? I don't think so. And second of all, a lot of it is just like building relationships and talking to your customers and checking in with them and sending them postcards and building your web presence. And it's a lot of work.
Of what you so what are those things that you do to cultivate that relationship? Have you ever watched or listened to Corinna Bench? I always talk about Corinna Bench because I love Corinna. My Digital Farmer, she talks a lot about cultivating your customers, and she has a webinar for Fact about cultivating your customers. And she talks a lot about you can earn a lot. Which would you rather do? Bring in a new customer or have an existing customer buy more from you? Which, I mean, for you, that's not really probably as relevant, but you want them to be returning customers. You want them to come back year after year. And just, there are things that you can do that are just going to really solidify that relationship. And, that's one thing that I'm working on right now with my herd chairs, is just trying to have just those extra little things that make somebody feel like they're more a part of the herd. Because, I mean, raw milk is expensive. Herd chair is expensive. It's not.
No, it's not expensive. It's valuable. And it's the right price. Everything else is too cheap.
There you go. I like that.
Right, exactly. Charge what you're worth, always.
There you go.
Always. You gotta make money.
Give us an example of what you're doing to cultivate your customers.
I always feel a little bit sheepish during these talks because I've never like sat down and made a marketing plan. As I don't have it written down somewhere, but I mean, just trying to be treated the way I like to be treated as a customer. So if there's a mistake, try to go above and beyond and fixing it. Trying to just communicate clearly, being available to answer questions. I do like to give people a gift at the end of the year. Like we've got a customer who does she's an amazing artist, and so she paints these pig portraits, and so we usually send out a set of greeting cards with these original pig portraits to our customers.
That's sweet.
Honestly,
I love that.
yeah, just like just something to let them know that we appreciate them, because we do. I'm always trying to think of more ways. Like I do feel kind of bad. I have not sent the postcards out yet this year, just because it's been a crazy year for a lot of reasons. But usually we try to, once people sign up and send in their deposit, we try to send them a postcard. It's like on my list of things that I still need to do this year.
Well, walk us through your customer journey. Like, so somebody wants to sign up for a pig, like you have their form and then you do all these little follow-up steps.
Yeah, I guess the simplified customer journey is usually people find out about us through a friend or a family member, or they see us on Instagram and Facebook. They probably go to our website and read all sort of the details about what it takes to buy a whole or a half hog. And then we have an online reservation form. And then, sorry, 1 second. My vet is calling. I will call him back. We have one pig who has ouchy feet, and so he's been walking on his knees. So yeah, that's also something we try to share. If it's not something like horribly tragic that's going to bum everyone out, we do try to share some of the ups and downs of farming. So where was I? Yeah, so they fill out our online reservation form. Then I contact them personally through email just to answer any questions. I always have a spot on the reservation form about, comments or concerns, questions. Also, two other things. How did you find out about us? So I can thank whoever referred us to them.
Nice.
And then also something that I'm doing to try to help other farmers in our area is always asking what other meats and products and experiences are you interested in?
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
And then it's really nice to have a whole list of 100 people who want pastured chicken, so that when I have a friend who I buy pastured chicken from, I can, help her sell pastured chicken.
Yeah.
So then they either Venmo, PayPal, or send me a check for the deposit. And then hopefully they're following along with our sort of sporadic newsletter, social media. Then later on in the fall, we send them the online cut form, and I walk them through that if they'd like. So in years past, we've had more open houses. I don't know if it's long COVID or this dizziness thing. I just have not had a lot of extra energy to do any open houses or events on the farm. Just haven't really quite been feeling up to par. I'm still getting all my farming stuff done, but you know how much energy all that extra stuff takes. So I do feel kind of bad that we haven't had farm events this year, but you can only do so much.
Exactly.
But I do think the addition of the on-farm pickup this year will help. But anyways, the customer journey. Yep. And so they fill out their cut sheet, and then they also schedule a time to either have it delivered or to pick it up in Rochester or to pick it up on our farm. And yeah, then just really trying to make sure that whoever is delivering the pork, if it's not me or my husband, just make sure that they're super cheerful and helpful and polite, because I do think that really matters. If you've got this cherished amount of a vast amount of meat, and the person who's delivering it shows up and is surly and just throws it down, that's part of the experience. I want to make sure that to either, if it's not us, it's one of our friends who we trust to do deliveries. And then we send a non-anonymous feedback form, and then also give them the anonymous feedback form to fill out if they want, and then follow up again. And then that's kind of it. And then we do have a Facebook group for friends of Nettle Valley Farm that people do share. So I add some folks to that, and they share recipes, which is really great.
Do you find that that's really active? Or is that...
It's not super active.
Yeah. That's my experience with the Facebook group stuff. It's you have to be very involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of getting it moving. Corinna Bench she does a Facebook group she has 400 person. She's an organic vegetable grower in Ohio,
Cool.
and they have a 400 person CSA, and they actually hire somebody whose job it is to keep track of their Facebook page.
That's amazing.
It's a private page, but there's a lot of sharing. I guess it's a little bit different because you're sharing different vegetables each week, and so it's very active. But yeah, one question I do have for you. So when people go to buy their pork, I've done this before where I've sold a whole and half and quarter cows.
Yep.
And it's really, I never did it for very many people. I did it for like 12 people. It was not huge. And the biggest challenge I had was whether or it's people choosing the size they wanted. So it was like I assigned people this particular cow. You got a half of this particular cow, and everything was up in the air until we took the cow to the processor and we found out the exact hanging weight. Do you sort of generalize that? Is it like a half a hog gets you X, Y, and Z? You get this amount of sausage, this amount of bacon, this amount. So you do specific animals. So somebody is assigned a specific hanging weight.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So our first and foremost, we try to communicate that on our website that this is approximately how much meat you're going to get, and this is approximately how much it's going to cost, but processing will vary, and the exact hanging weight will vary depending on the size of the animal. And we're just lucky that we've, since that's the only way you can get our meat, our customers are just flexible enough to know that, like, yeah, it might vary by like $100. Someday I would love to have some sort of little like online calculator that shows you how your processing choices would exactly affect your final bill.
So there's it's out of Cornell and NC Choices, which is in North Carolina. It's called Meat Suite, and they've got the calculating tool.
Cool. So but then, people won't. I guess I'd have to tailor it for our processor and his prices for, what does it cost per pound for ham, that sort of thing. And then it also depends on, what the final size of the animal is. And I don't know that until the end of the year. And I don't know that until after they've done their processing. So it hasn't been a problem. A couple of times throughout the year, we've had people who didn't quite read our website thoroughly, and they thought their deposit was the entire price of the whole pig and so in that case we usually just say like, that's an honest mistake. It's too bad that this happened, but here we'll give you the deposits where, if you've put down a $300 deposit for a whole hog, we'll sell you $300 worth of pork, and then we'll hopefully find somebody else who wants to take over the rest of that. Or if people don't even want the $300, then we'll just find somebody else to hopefully who wants the exact same processing. So it's only happened a couple of times. And we actually added a little checkbox on our online ordering form that just said, hey, like ordering a half hog or a whole hog is quite a bit different than getting meat from the grocery store. Have you read? Here's a link to all of our FAQs. And if you've read all that, check this box to let us know that you're good to go and that we're all on the same page. So I think that will help. But honest mistakes still happen. People are so busy in this day and age. But we've just been lucky enough to have customers who sort of, they know what roughly the bill will be at the end of the day, but there hasn't been pushback about like, well, you said it was going to be this and it's like $50 more. So they're just, I told you, best customers in the world.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love your little checkbox. Like, that's so smart.
That's really good idea. I do that for my camp kids. The parents have to check boxes to say that they understand that what's expected from them, and
Yeah.
But they've got to pick their kids up on time and all that kind of stuff. And when people have to check a box or, I make them initial, then they think about it a little bit more. They make sure they pay attention.
Yeah. I do want to say this is a little bit of a non sequitur, but one thing I did want to say was I have noticed for myself, and I've talked with other farmers, that it's been harder to sell meat this year. And at least up here, I mean, I think it's probably the economy, it's probably gas prices, it's a lot of different things. So one thing that I'm trying to do more this year that I haven't done in the past is sort of referral swaps. So having a pastured poultry farmer list us in a newsletter that would go out to their customers, and then making sure that we're doing that for them, or whoever's got the raw milk in the area, sort of doing that sort of referral swap. Hoping that leads to, like, as of right now, I think we have 9 more pigs to find homes for out of the 78. So, I mean, we're not going to start harvesting for over a month. So it's still
That's
fine.
not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fine. I'm just the kind of person that until all of the pigs are spoken for, I'm always like, oh my God, what if we don't sell them all? It's never happened. We've always sold all of the pigs. But I just tend towards anxiety a little bit when it comes to moving. So yeah, we're just going to keep.
I'm not trying to make you more anxious, but what would happen if you didn't sell them?
Great question. Probably have a bit of an anxiety spiral, but then once I pulled myself out of that, I would probably look at renting freezer space for longer, and then figuring out what it would take to sell bundles of pork.
Bundles, yeah.
I don't want to go in that direction. I doubt that we will have to, because, like I said, we've always found homes for all of our wholes and halves in the past. But yeah, we'd have to get creative for sure.
Yeah. I didn't mean to. You're going to sell them all. I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer.
No, but it's possible, and I'm just trying to be real. Like I've definitely had a lot more like mental health stuff this year, like anxiety about crazy weather, anxiety. Like I can't be the only farmer who's farming with depression and anxiety, and I'm trying to be very intentional about talking about it publicly. I think there's a stigma around, like, it's an epidemic in our country. Like, almost, it's hard. I know very few people who don't have any sort of anxiety or depression or concerns and live in a crazy time. And so to add weather stuff on top of that and dealing with living animals, I just want to be real about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think everybody feels it, It is a real thing that, you don't even have to be a farmer, but being a farmer definitely makes you feel it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
I know we had some other questions. Those were the questions I've asked all the questions that I have.
You ask amazing questions, Sam.
They're great questions. I'm going to see what comments we have from our listeners. Let's see. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. We're so glad you're here today. Kevin says, thanks for sharing this experience. We're so glad that you're enjoying it. Hi, Dee. Thanks for joining us from Mississippi. That's exciting. We're glad you're here. Hi, Martha. Thanks for joining us today. Martha says, appreciate the real honest questions and answers to, we have 4 hogs and just got them in July. So,
it's a great number to start with.
It
absolutely.
Is a great number to start with.
We started with 3. Yeah.
Well, good luck on your journey, Martha. And thanks for joining us. If you have any more questions, let us know.
So when we started out, we started with 20.
That's a lot.
Wow. Bold move.
Yeah, but we'd already been farming. So we were already at farmers markets. We were already doing other things. So pigs would just add. We were doing lambs and we were doing beef at that point, which we don't do so much beef anymore. But yeah, so it wasn't that big of a stretch, but
yeah.
Still, I'm not
just seeing that Martha had a comment about that she had a Lyme diagnosis in June, and I'm very sorry about that, Martha. Lyme is really rough. Please take care of yourself. Maybe that's a conversation that FACT could host. Is I know so many farmers with chronic illnesses. Like I know a bunch of farmers with long COVID now and a bunch of farmers with
Yeah.
chronic Lyme disease. And I think it would be interesting to get a panel together to talk about what the strategies are for dealing with 'cause I don't want to quit. I mean, I don't want to quit farming. I think that would in a lot of ways make chronic illness harder, is if you need something to live
Right.
for. But
I've got a friend
that's
who's
off topic, but it's a thing.
No, I've got a friend who's got long COVID, and he caught COVID like in 2020. So he caught it in November of 2020, and he's got heart issues now. I mean, it's really bad, but he is finally starting to see, the light at the end of the tunnel. He's doing much better, but luckily his wife farms with him, so between the two of them, they've been able to do it. He has lots of stools. He takes stools everywhere he goes now, so he has to sit. I mean, he's like, I think he's early 30s, so he's not terribly old, maybe mid 30s, but yeah, it's rough. Chronic illness is rough.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. My husband is in really good health and hasn't had COVID and is very steady. Also, he works off the farm, and so having a partner has the insurance and a steady paycheck also really, really, really helps. So I definitely want to like lift that up as a point of privilege, that I've really been able to grow slowly and be this focused on quality of life, and because we're not trying to make our entire family's income from farming, which I think is something to be transparent about. I'm proud to say our farm does pay for the land and pays for the mortgage and everything associated with the pigs, and it pays me a little bit for my time. So I'm proud that we've made it to that point.
Good job. There's
I feel really good about that.
A lot of people who can't say that, so good for you, Dana.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I think I just had a few extra questions for you. Are there any kind of helpful resources that you've used to kind of build your marketing or build your business or build your farm? Anything that you would recommend to people?
Yeah, I personally really enjoy using social media, but I know for a lot of people it's not a positive experience. So maybe if you're more of an in-person person, you could do more networking and speaking in person. Or if you really don't like people that much, which is totally, that's fine. That's fine too. I mean, my whole thing this year and for the past couple of years is like, we don't all have to do everything. Like we don't all need to have every species of livestock. So there's got to be somebody out there who really has great customers and likes talking to people and selling meat, but doesn't supply pastured pork or pastured chicken. Maybe see if they would help you sell your meat. Other helpful resources. I mean, going to conferences and just befriending other farmers. Big shout out to the FACT mentorship program and the Moses mentorship program. That's been
FACT also does scholarships for conferences that would help you raise your animals in a more humane way. So there's lots of this is like conference season. We're coming into conference season, so now's the time to. I don't know if you can put that. Can you put that link up there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, thanks for Dana. That's a really good thing. I mean, just learning about learning from other people and attending those conferences. It's worth it. I mean, some of them are expensive, and so you have to sort of pick and choose them, but there's some really great ones out there. And there's quite a few good ones in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we're really spoiled. We're lucky.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good ones in North Carolina too. And there's actually one that's going to happen in Wisconsin, I think it is. That's the Meat Summit, which is going to be next February. So I think it'll be coming to your neck of the woods. Wow.
I want to go to that. Oh, I'll try to.
So it actually started with NC Choices in North Carolina. It's called, we had this program until COVID. It would alternate between the Women in Meat Conference and then, which was amazing. And I attended every single year. And then also just the Meat Conference, the Carolina Meat Conference. And it was just unique in the country. Nobody else, and people were coming from Canada to attend it. And now, as part of sort of trying to get it so it could be in other places in the U.S. The director of NC Choices, who was on 2 months ago, was on the Marketing Monday. It Was it 2 months ago? It was a couple months ago.
I think so. Yeah.
But anyway, so they actually have helped start these other summits. There's one that's going to be a Pacific summit, and then there's the mountain meets some. So it's called a summit. I'm pretty sure that it should be really cool, and I really want to go.
Like you brought up podcasts. You brought up marketing podcasts. There's so many amazing marketing.
I really like My Digital Farmer. I feel like she really, I mean, she's a CSA farmer. So if you're just livestock, she talks a lot about vegetable CSAs, but there's a lot of stuff that's transferable. Almost all of it's transferable. And what I really like is that there's, farming and marketing farms. I mean, it's unique. There's a lot of things that are just different than if you had, a brick and mortar store, and, you're dealing with things that are alive, things that change, it's just, anyway, I think she's amazing. I love her. I really do. I got to send her an email the other day, and my kids thought I was ridiculous because I was acting like I was like some kind of like fangirl or something. I was like, oh my God, I just sent an email to Kurt. And my kids are rolling. Like, ugh, geez, Mom.
Hey, you love to love things. I know that this is something I know about you, and I think it's wonderful. I would add 2 more resources to anybody who hasn't done it yet. I would totally do the holistic management training, even if it's just about the quality of life stuff, not the financial holistic management training or the grazing planning.
Who is that through?
Well, I think you can do it through HMI, Holistic Management International, or the Savory Institute, or there's all sorts of like local nonprofits that host trainings. And then the last resource that just came to mind, there was a book called Worth Every Penny, that is just a wonderful book when it comes to having more of a boutique mindset of, you are not Costco, you are the absolute opposite of Costco. You want to treat everyone like they're the valuable, wonderful boutique customer that they are. And so that gave me a ton of ideas on how to provide some nice touches for customers.
Oh, I like that.
That's fabulous. Those are all awesome resources. And I'll put the links to some of those as a Facebook post after this so that everybody will have a link. I'm going to look them up and Google them all.
There you go. Sounds like fun.
Yes. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Sam, did you have any final questions?
No, I'll stop.
I know we could talk about this all day, but I want to be cognizant of your time, Dana. I know you're very, very busy.
Well, busy, but I'm going to go take a nap. It's siesta time. I take siesta.
Right.
Siesta is a religion around here.
That's important.
I
gotta
go
take care of yourself. Well, it's time for our shameless plugs in that case. Dana, would you like to plug anything?
Oh, I would love to connect with people on Instagram and Facebook, or you can always just send me an email at nettlevalleyfarm@gmail.com.
All right.
And if you're in the Midwest or within 150 miles of Spring Grove and you want a freezer full of really, really, really delicious meat, really, really delicious pork, hit me up.
We've got 9 left. Let's get them sold, people. Let's get them sold. Go to her website. That's nettlevalleyfarm.com. You can get those going for her.
We're staying on here until we find homes for all.
That's right. We're gonna, you get this, and you get a pig, and you get a pig.
Pig Oprah.
I love it.
Absolutely. Well, Sam, is there anything you'd like to plug today?
Absolutely. So, FACT, Food Animal Concerns Trust, is about ready to start up our webinar season, and those have already started being listed. We've got our first one. And I don't know what it's going to be like. He seems like a really nice guy, but it's about how to make, ridiculous amount of money on no acreage using poultry. And he's really nice. I've talked to him, so I think it's going to be great, but we'll see how it turns out. Don't tell anybody I said that. But
Don't tell anyone. Only the internet. It's
Yeah,
fine.
so no, it's just the three of us. Nobody else exists. And so we should have some really good ones coming up. I think hopefully we can get Dana in for some a little bit more of a deep dive into how the logistics behind selling wholes and halves. Yeah, we've got it, and so those will start in September. We also have an ongoing scholarship program, so you can at any point go to the Food Animal Concerns Trust.org, and under the farmer tab, if you pull it down, scholarships are there. And then we also start thinking about grant season, because we've got our grants coming out at the beginning of November, and our mentorship program, which Dana has been a part of in the past, and that's actually how I know Dana. That's the opening for that will start at the beginning of applications for that will start at the beginning of October. So got a lot of good stuff coming on. And then, of course, I've got my own farm. I don't have 9 hogs to sell, but, we're about ready. Our calves are being born, so we're about ready to expand our herd share. So if you're in the Durham area of North Carolina and want to get in on a herd share, we'll be doing that here pretty soon.
It's Jersey cows. They have delicious milk. Can attest.
Yeah. They're the best. Jerseys are the best. And you've got it. Doesn't Livestock Conservancy have a grant program coming up soon, or applications?
We do. Our micro grants just closed last week, so
okay.
Yep. Thank you to everybody who sent in their application. Best of luck to you. I know the review team is looking through all of those as we speak. So fingers crossed. Good luck. And I'll just say for us, thank you to Mana Pro again for sponsoring today's Marketing Monday. We appreciate you. And thanks to all of our members and supporters for making possible outreach and communications and education that we're able to do and work with farmers in the area and across the whole, I'm trying to say United States, but it was just like blinking in my mind. I was like, oh my God.
Nap time.
Nap time, yes. Martha's taking a nap, so we all need to follow in Martha's footsteps.
That's right. Well, and if you're not a member and you want to become a member, we would love to have you. Just go to livestockconservancy.org. You can sign up for $4 a month. I know I spend more on coffee, and I need to go and have some more coffee so I don't have these brain farts. Anyway, well, thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in and spending your time with us. And we couldn't do it without you. So thanks again. Hope you all have a wonderful week. We will be off next week, but then we will be back again to talk about donkeys next month. We're celebrating Donkey Month. Sam has a super cute donkey. Her name is Maisie.
The cutest donkey ever. She's adorable.
True. I love donkeys, so I'm looking very much forward to talking about how awesome they are. Well, have a great afternoon, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you. See ya.